All right, this is Jeff Zimmerman with FightNews.com. I've got the legend, aka the executioner, aka the alien, aka B-Hop, Bernard Hopkins, the legend from Philly. How you doing, Bernard?
Good, good. How you been? How's your family?
Everyone's doing well, man. Just this wacky weather everybody's dealing with these days, but all is good.
Yeah. We getting that March. We getting that March going out with a bang before the
Yeah,
spring.
man. You've been all over the place, man. I can't keep track of you if you're in, the East Coast, West Coast, or in the air. But you've been busy. You did back-to-back shows in LA that were on DAZN. How did those go?
It went great. It went great, man, because the good thing about it is that I think for the last year, maybe year and a half, when the show's that close together, I don't even waste my time on flying back and putting that stress on myself and up and down, back and forth. So it was good getting through those 2 weeks, and a lot of conversations about what's next and boxing and what people want to see, and and obviously what we was doing those 2 weeks and the fights that would happen in those 2 weeks. So yeah, from LA to Fantasy Springs and in California. So both of those fights was really action packed. I tell everybody we got a fight of the year candidate or fight of the year candidate, but a lot of fireworks and a lot of excitement is going forward. And one of the reasons we having the Zoom is because we got a lot to catch up on, a lot to talk about, and I'm excited. I'm excited not only for boxing, I'm excited for Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis.
Well, and I'm glad you went there. The big announcement that the boxing world has been on pins and needles finally got announced. Oscar put it out there, Tank put it out there, you put it out there, everybody has now. Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, April 22nd in Vegas on Showtime. But before we get there, because I know that's the big fight we want to talk about, did you see Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury yesterday?
Yeah.
What you think?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me what I think about it. I was impressed with both guys based on fighting a fight that can be looked at and respected as a real professional fight. This wasn't the Jake Paul celebrity fight. It wasn't set up like that. He promised people that he would take his first fight on and also fight somebody that is credible for the level that they are on, especially himself. We see the outcome of that. Now, I thought the fight was at least worst case scenario draw, but nobody is always the winner or loser. So when they say nobody loses, yes, but the fans never loses because they get a chance to see. If they didn't believe it the first time, they get a chance to see. Hopefully, it's not guaranteed. I had nothing to do with it, as far as whether they fight again on a rematch or not. But I can't imagine Jay Paul and anybody else passing up on a rematch based on the outcome of the fight the other night.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, we've seen worse, right? I mean, it was a competitive fight. Both guys, I think, gave it their all. They came in shape, and I think the fans won on this fight.
Yeah, I think I know the fans won on this fight based on the ones that of course, bought the fight and watched the fight because they wanted to see, is it credible, or is this the fight that makes Jake Paul credible? I say at this level, only at this level, it makes him credible on the level, and now the work ethics and the people he beat going up the ladder of contenders, he must continue to do this. It's not a one-off. It's not a one-off on anything when it comes to getting the stamp of approval of not only the diehard fans, but yourself, Fight News, Jeff, and myself, and everybody else, no matter if you're over this side of the fence or that side of the fence. We're not letting nobody just walk in and call themselves something that they are not. I say, Bernard, and this, my word is my word to me. People can disagree to agree. I believe that he scratched the surface respectfully to be considered a contender at that level till he worked his way up and beat the right people and, of course, continue to win. I say keep doing what he's doing to be good and be great. And if he can pull that off, then I think he deserves to be respected.
And if it wasn't for the fight being Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury, you got to be proud of who I think kind of stole the show, and Badou Jack at 39, winning another world title from a guy who fought into his 50s. What did you think of his performance?
Let me tell you, he started off for just a little bit, showing the weight, showing his ability to pick up when he needed to pick up, and he did, and he got the stoppage. But I think it's more big fights, believe it or not. I say a few rather that I like to see him have in that weight division, because I think that he has a lot more to show in this tank.
Yeah, I agree. Now listen, man, we did an interview a few months back, a 4-part series for Fight News, and you basically put everybody on notice, called everyone out in boxing, from managers, promoters, Golden Boy included, advisors, fighters, pushing for the biggest fights, talking about, fighters' legacies or lack thereof if these fights don't happen. And now here we are talking a few months later, and you arguably have scheduled the biggest fight in boxing with Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. Go back to a few months ago to where you are now, and did you envision this fight happening within that time frame?
I will tell you that I envision it to happen earlier than later. Why? Because of the big month that comes up in the month after that, what I mean by that is Cinco de Mayo. Then you got Independence in September. Let me tell you how important. And again, thanks for giving me the time at that moment to express my urgency to I'll say right now, as promoters are my comrades, and we needed to do this, and it got done. And let me tell you, and it's not just 1 or 2 or 3 people who got this thing done. It took both sides. It took both companies. It took outside influencers. It took Fight News. It took myself. It took, of course, Golden Boy. It took Al Heyman. It took everybody that brought their recipe to the dance to somehow come up with a fairness amongst everybody on both sides, to be able to say, at the end of the day, we got to please the family of the fighters, and we got to please the fans of the fighters to be able to do what? Be able to have the fighters fight the great fights that can be matched up, to be able to take care, and as I said earlier, family, to be able to take care of themselves and take care of their family. And this just not going to be a one-off. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to start banging the drums right now, Jeff. This can't be a one-off. What I mean is, if you cannot sustain the level that you start and get it done, that is the Ryan Garcia and the Tank Davis fight, and come back strong. If my wish list was there, it would be Spence and Bud Crawford it would be McGear and whoever else in that weight class that you and I and the people that want to see. This has to be a contagious moment to spread those words to the fighters that's waiting to get an opportunity to get in front of their advisors, their managers, their promoters, and say, this is my life, this is my career, and this is my moment. This is now a statement, not only that the people behind the scenes, along with the fighters, made by getting this fight done, signed, sealed, announced, and ready. This is a statement to every fighter or every manager, or promoter, or anyone else that think big fights can't happen in our sport that we say we love and we respect. Is showing that we are serious and not just talking. So this is one, but it can't be a one-off. We have to be greedy when it comes to big fights of this magnitude. We have to be thirsty of big fights of this magnitude. If we don't keep that mentality, then it becomes the same old thing that's been happening here and there in the boxing world. This generation wants to fight. I'll say that again. This generation wants to fight more than ever. And that's important, Jeff. That's important. I hear it. And these guys, they need from Golden Boy. Bernard, we'll fight. Look, can you get us to fight such and such? We want to fight. Well, what your promoters say, what your managers say. Hey, look, I don't want to get into no conflict, but you put them together, and I will come in if I need to, on the phone, on the Zoom, and I'll co-sign it. I'll co-sign it. So this is a start. It's a great start. But I'm telling you right now, before this fight's over with, we must have a big fight in boxing there for the people anticipating this one coming next. How great is that, Jeff? How great? When the last time, back to back, with 11 to 10 months left in this month, or 10, you'll be able to say, man, I can mark my vacation. I can mark the time that I can spend with my family. I can go take a trip here. I can take a trip. But these dates in the year, I'm not going nowhere. Based and predicated on what? During my schedule, or rearranging my schedule because I want to see this fight.
Yeah,
that's what I grew up anticipating, and we can get that same flair now because, like I said, this generation is different. Jeff, this generation is different in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
this generation is different.
And listen, I mean, people probably thought you were a little bit crazy. People probably thought whatever they wanted. Every time you were on a red carpet, every time you were being interviewed at a show, no matter where you were, the airport, anyone that had a microphone in front of you, you kept beating the same drum. And then Oscar said the same thing. Ryan obviously wanted the fight. Tank wanted the fight. But there was a lot of skepticism, no doubt, from fans. We've been through this before. There's, I mean, even up until it got signed, people thought, here we go again. You talked about the recipe, right, for this fight, or making this fight happen. Obviously, there was a lot of cooks in this kitchen to put this fight together, as you alluded to. What was the secret ingredient? Because again, you just said it, it can't be a one-off, but what was the secret ingredient to make this fight happen?
The fighters stood up and told their handlers and told their managers and told their advisors that they didn't want to hear the bullshit anymore. that the fight's got to happen and it's going to happen. Both sides, again, you got to commend Tank Davis. You got to commend. You got Ryan Garcia. And let me tell you something. Without them, we don't have a start. So I got to give them the opportunity to go ahead and smell the roses and give them the opportunity not only to speak their own words, but to understand that they need to be applauded. But guess what? It's their job. They're looking at us like, wait a minute, or they're looking at them. It's like, wait a minute, like the fights ain't over. The fights ain't even start yet. This is what we do. We sign up for this. They looking at it a whole new different way that we looking at it. Or at least most people. I'm looking at it the way they look. I'm looking at the same lens they're looking at. This fight got done because both fighters said, stop the bullshit. I want to fight. Whoa, they want this many. They want that many tickets. So you're going to have that many tickets. We talk about tickets? I mean, this is crazy. So when you get to talking about this, that, this, now we understand business is business. And you only get what you negotiate. I get it. Everybody gets that. But let's get to the butt. Do you want to kill the fight or you want to make the fight? And once it got to the point of making the fight, because of the two fighters, only because of the two fighters, nobody had a magic wand. Nobody had a magic key. But the fighters had their minds made up. And they're at the point of their career, undefeated. Both are ready to come out of the gate. And they weren't going to let nobody steal that moment. This is a different generation. We are now experiencing that. And when that now becomes contagious, we're going to see fights in 2023 that we're going to be talking about just as much as we're talking about this coming in the next couple of weeks. This is the start of something great that I'm predicting in boxing that we didn't have in a long time. This is the Sugar Ray, the Tommy Hearns, the Wilfred Benitez, the Roberto Duran. This is that era.
No doubt, no doubt. And I applaud everybody for getting this fight. Talk about the Jake Paul fight. The fans are, what makes this whole sport go around. And you're right, the fighters had to step up, and to their credit, they did. So let's talk about the fight itself. Obviously, you get Ryan Garcia as your fighter, but no one knows how to break down a fight like you, B-Hop. How do you see this fight taking shape?
He has to break. Ryan Garcia has to not break him down, but break him mentally by doing things that he's not accustomed to, happening to him or being done to him. And let's say, what is that? Okay, what is that? Be Ryan Garcia. Be brash. Be consistent. Always give yourself room to see and not let him see or touch you unless he earns it. And when he earns it, you got to be ready for it in all shapes and sizes and style that's going to come. Tank is going to come in all kinds of ways. But one way he's going to come, what he's been successful doing, breaking guys down after the 5th round, wearing them out after the 6th or 7th. If they get to the 8th or 9th, they basically don't have anything left. Ryan is going to have to fight this fight very smart. He's going to have to be the matador with the bull. He's going to have to use and neutralize that Tank that's going to keep coming forward because he can't help himself, Tank Davis. And he's going to have to keep it in the center of the ring. Tank Davis cannot beat Ryan Garcia in the center of the ring. I'm going to say it again. Tank Davis cannot beat Ryan Garcia in the center of the ring. The fight is Ryan's in the center. The fights get difficult on the ropes for Ryan. He don't need to be where Tank is comfortable. He needs to be where he's not faster than him, whether it's on his feet, whether it's his hands, whether it's in his reflexes. Ryan Garcia has a lot of landslide advantages here. But he only take one punch to pitch you out. And we know that Tank has a consistent, relentless pressure to make you fight him off you to exchange. And once he gets you in that type of mindset, he capitalized and shut the lights off, as we see them do time and time and time again. This fight's going to be based and predicated on a couple of things, and one of them is who's the most disciplined to do and sustain that mental and plan strategy. Round one, round two. And you got to remember, every round ain't going to be favorable to each guy. How do they adjust? Who makes the adjustment? Who makes it quick enough before the other one capitalizes on each other? These things are a lot to deal with. And I've said a lot that they must deal with. But isn't that the test you take to be great? I see Ryan Garcia winning this by a decision, but narrow, no split. He wins it, and he wins it based on all the attributes that he has. And Tank has what most fighters would love to be born with. One punch. One punch. Can you imagine walking a tightrope thousands of feet in the air with no safety net underneath? This for a minute. Everybody's going to read this and look at this video. Can you imagine 1,000 feet up or 100 feet in the air, up at feet in the air, and you're walking a tightrope? You got to go at least a block, a city block, not a short one, a city block. That's dangerous. You can't make a mistake. You can't take anything for granted. Ryan Garcia is one of the most respected. He's with the most respected, the most knowledgeable. Goosen, to be able to give him the plan and the strategy, along with Ryan's good attributes and natural instincts. He's going to need all that. Tank is always dangerous because he's not just a puncher, which I give him a whole, that's his bread and butter, but he also has the slickness of the East Coast fighters. What I mean by that is he know how to smother. He know how to overwhelm you. He know how to pick it up when you're looking to rest. He know how to make you and trick you, basically, to be in a shootout with him. Well, he got 6 bullets and you only got but 2. He got a better shot when you're in that position. Nah, you don't fight him where he's comfortable. you put him in a position when he's uncomfortable and let him figure that out. And while he's figuring that out, rounds going by, and opportunities will come to you more greater than opportunities that come to him to get you out of there. Two different styles, but with the same agenda. Seek and destroy. Seek and destroy. And that's what that to me make this fight more exciting and dangerous for both guys that go in the ring if they're not right. Here, and they work ethics. They got to come with their A-plus game. This fight's going to live up to the names and the hype, because when you fight two undefeated fighters of this generation come together, they don't want to be talking the next day about why they didn't do this, why they didn't do that. This is put up or shut up right now. And as the weeks go by, it's going to get a little nasty. We expect that. Tank is not a trash talker. Ryan Garcia is not a trash talker, but got a little bit more of a little pizzazz. It's going to get heated. And the fans going to see something that they anticipated, and I'm just glad I was part of it. And everybody else, I'm pretty sure, would say the same thing. To make this fight come to fruition.
I'm here with the legend. Bernard Hopkins just broke down, like only he can, the KingRy versus Tank fight scheduled for April 22nd on Showtime Boxing in Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world. And before we let you go, B-Hop, there's another...
T-Mobile Arena.
T-Mobile Arena, okay, great. So now we have a venue as well, T-Mobile Arena. Before we let you go, there's another big fight, not quite as big, but certainly a big fight from a boxing standpoint. Plant Benavidez coming up on March 25th, just a month before. You already went out on the limb, or went out and predicted Caleb Plant, which a lot of people are picking Benavidez for his size, his strength, and everything. What gives you confidence on Plant?
So they think I lost my mind, didn't they? Okay. Listen, I don't think Benavidez. No, he slept on this one. That's why he's fighting him. He slept on Plant. That's why he's fighting him. Even if he hear or read this, he slept on Plant. And it's okay, because a lot of other fighters in history have slept on their opponent when they was at the top of their greatness. History will always repeat himself. Let's watch and see if Plant become one of those historic moments where it repeats itself again. I believe he can. I believe he will. And I believe there'll be a lot of excuses out there why. I'll be humble. I will be humble. But I will do an interview with Jeff Fight News. But I will be humble about it. I would just say I figure it was time for a guy like Plant, who been around the horn a few times, but not wore out. Understand that moment, not stage shock. Been tested, tasted defeat, tasted victories. I'm going with the do or die man that has ability to do what he have already done in certain situations where He's back at the same table again. But this one is different in a lot of ways. And that's what made this fight too special, because it's different in a lot of ways. He's not going up against someone that can fight. He's going up against a badass, by no doubt. By no doubt. You got a Mike Tyson and others greats, maybe one or two more, saying that this man is an animal. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm just telling you what history's going to do. And unfortunately, Mike Tyson was part of history. I'm going with Plant, man. I'm going with Plant with a shootout, knockdown, drag out. He's gonna get more respect. He's gonna get the ultimate respect for this fight, based on history.
Well, listen, another fight that the fans have been clamoring for the last, 3-4 years. So, boxing is shaping up to be great this year. Before I let you go, B-Hop, got a few minutes here before we get to our limit. One of your star pupils, besides KingRy, is Vergil Ortiz, back in the ring April 29th in Arlington, Texas. You guys are super busy, man. This is kind of going under the radar with everything going on right now, but big fight against Stanionis. Give us your quick thoughts there.
I mean, it's worthy fight based on continue to stay not just busy, but continue to be relevant in the conversations of that division. And next up for Vergil, definitely win this fight impressively, because that's what it's about now. Win this fight impressively and then move on to the big dance and what everybody wants to see in that division. My thing is, don't hold them back. Let them fight as much as they can fight. Have the dates ready for them to slide in. Stay on training mode. You put your phone on airplane mode, put training on a training mode, pick it up, we need to pick it up, turn it down, we need to turn it down. It's a good time, Jeff. It's a good time, not to do the pom-poms or anything else, but it's a good time to vision and to anticipate and plan for the big fights, along with your regular life for the fans out there, who we all rely on to actually support our family and our lifestyles going forward, to have them engaged in a lot of ways, and also have them thirsty. I said thirsty to buy tickets, watch the fight on DAZN, Showtime, and any other outlet that's going to be providing these services for the fans around the world. Big fights is going to happen. Fights that I know for a fact that's going to be just as big as the Vergil Ortiz is the fighters in different promotional companies, and our fighters is going to have to fight them. Their fighters are going to have to fight us. We now have to be one promoter with different names, fighting to see who's the best. Undisputed means no dispute.
Got one more quick point for you, B-Hop, or quick question. You and Oscar blew up the internet a month and a half ago or so with Spence-Crawford. Anything going on there? And is that a potential Vergil Ortiz fight coming down the pipe?
Correct. A potential Vergil Ortiz fight with Bud Crawford will be I like Spence too, right? If the fans had a choice to take Spence or Crawford and Victor and Ortiz, what do you think they'll take?
Spence and Crawford, of course.
Correct. So this, again, this is me being a fan, and now I'm being a promoter too. I can tell you both views. If I'm a fan, which I am, of boxing, and you have those two names, I want to see those two guys fight. Bud Crawford and Spence. And the winner of those two get Vergil Ortiz.
All right.
Now hold up. If we have Crawford, Golden Boy, then of course I would say, hey, let's get Vergil the shot if Crawford oblige, and then get Spence if I'm the promoter. But I go back to me as a fan. I'm going to go back to that fan thing. I know we ain't got that much time. I'm telling you as a fan, I would want to see Bud Crawford and Spence right out of the gate, especially on the heels of Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. And I'm telling you as a fan.
Right.
As a promoter, I want my guy to get it because we have some control of the promotion, the fight, building it up. And that's where the benefit comes at when you're in that position. So that's why, to me, that's the fight I would like to have. From a fan point, I told you Crawford and Spence, but from a promoter, say Crawford was under our banner for those fights. Yeah, we would definitely will have that matchup with our fighter to be first.
But he does have a big test coming up on April 29th against Stanionis, talking about Vergil.
Nothing to sneeze, no opponent to sneeze at or underestimate. But Vergil, to me, is on a fast track of greatness. And it takes time, of course, but I haven't seen no one come close to derailing what I said and what I see. I just see Vergil at a time that I've seen him multiple times, at the time right now that's so wide open for a superstar coming from, I guess, the back alley. Vergil got to be the guy, man. That let me tell you, that is not getting mentioned as we talk about the Crawford, the Spence, the Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis. You know, you can throw Hanley, you can throw a lot of people, not a lot, but you can throw a few more names in there. And to me, I think he wants that. I think that the way he fights, he wants to make a statement every time he fights. And guess what? He has been doing that. And this is what I think, that when it comes down to it, only the best going to survive. The second best going to have to get in line again and wait for their turn. And God knows when that's going to come. So I'll say to fighters, do what you do. At least back up what you say. Fans, get the popcorn. Get any other beverage that you like. And guess what? Enjoy the fights in 2023.
All right. Well, you heard it here. The legend himself, Bernard Hopkins, has had a busy schedule to kick off the year. I don't know if people have been paying attention, but we talked about your back-to-back shows. We didn't even get into the Zurdo Ramirez fight coming up. You guys have been, I would say, probably the busiest promoter out there to kick off the new year, and obviously putting on the biggest fight in Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. B-Hop, it's always a pleasure talking to you. You look good. I know you feel good, and safe travels, and we'll do this again real soon.
Peace.
Thank you.
Talk to you. All right, brother.